Maya Rodriguez felt the ship shake violently around her. Red warning lights flashed in the small cockpit of her scout vessel. The computer voice kept repeating the same message over and over. Hull breach detected. Life support failing. Emergency. Protocols activated. She tried to reach the communication panel, but another blast threw her against the wall. Her head hit the metal surface hard. Blood trickled down her forehead. Through the small window, she could see the massive alien ship that had attacked her. It was dark gray with strange markings on its hull. The ship was at least 10 times bigger than her small reconnaissance vessel. Maya had been on a routine patrol, mission near the Proxima system. Her job was simple: fly around the area, scan for any unusual activity, and report back to Earth Defense Command. She had done this mission dozens of times before. Nothing exciting ever happened. Until today. The alien ship had appeared out of nowhere. Her sensors had not detected it at all. One moment she was alone in space, checking her instruments. The next moment, massive energy beams were hitting her ship. Her shields failed almost immediately. The hull began to crack and break apart. She reached for the emergency beacon. If she could activate it, Earth would know what happened to her. Her fingers touched the button just as another blast hit the ship. The lights went out. Completely. The artificial gravity stopped working. Maya floated in the darkness, waiting for the end. But the end did not come. Instead, she heard a strange humming sound. A bright blue light filled the cockpit. Maya felt herself being pulled toward the light. She could not move or fight against it. The light wrapped around her like invisible hands. Then everything went black. When Maya woke up, she was lying on a cold metal floor. The room was dark except for a few glowing panels on the walls. She sat up slowly, touching her head where it still hurt. The cut had stopped bleeding, but her head felt dizzy. She looked around the room. It was small and had no windows. The walls were made of some kind of dark metal she had never seen before. There was only one door, and it had no handle on her side. Strange symbols glowed softly above the door. She could not read them. Maya stood up carefully. Her legs felt weak, but she could walk. She went to the door and pushed against it. It did not move. She hit it with her fists, but it made no sound. The metal was too thick. Footsteps echoed outside the door. Maya stepped back as the door slid open with a soft hiss. A creature walked into the room. It was taller than any human Maya had ever seen, at least 7 feet tall. Its skin was dark blue and covered with small scales. It had 4 arms and yellow eyes that glowed in the dim light. The creature spoke, but Maya could not understand the words. The language sounded harsh and full of clicking sounds. The creature seemed frustrated when Maya did not respond. It touched something on its belt. A small device began to glow. "Can you understand me now, human?" the creature asked. Its voice was deep and rough, but Maya could understand every word. "Yes," Maya said carefully. "What do you want with me?" "I am Captain Vextar of the Zephyrian fleet. You are now our prisoner. Your small ship was in our territory without permission." "I was on a peaceful mission," Maya said. "I was not trying to harm anyone." Captain Vextar made a sound that might have been laughter. "Peaceful or not, you are here now, and you will serve a purpose." "What purpose?" "You will fight in the Grand Arena. It is our greatest tradition. Warriors from across the galaxy come to test themselves against our champion. Many have tried. All have failed." Maya felt her stomach drop. "I'm not a warrior. I'm just a scout pilot." "That is unfortunate for you. Captain Vextar said. The arena does not care what you were before. It only cares what you can do when facing death. And if I refuse to fight? There is no choice in this matter. The arena has been chosen for you. Your species has never been tested before. The Council is very interested to see what humans can do. Captain Vexitar turned to leave, then stopped. The fight will be broadcast across our entire empire. Billions will watch. If you somehow survive, your species will earn respect among the stars. If you fail, as expected, Earth will be marked as weak. Very weak. What does that mean? Maya asked. It means your planet will be excluded from the Galactic Trade Consortium. No alien species will do business with Earth. Your people will remain isolated forever, alone in the darkness of space. Maya felt her heart racing. This was not just about her life anymore. The future of humanity depended on what happened in this arena. How long do I have to prepare? She asked. We will reach our homeworld in 3 days. The arena fight will happen immediately upon arrival. Use the time wisely. Captain Vextar walked toward the door. Maya called after him. What am I fighting against? The captain stopped but did not turn around. The Drakthul, our apex predator. It has killed 300 warriors in the past 10 years. It has never been defeated. It has never even been seriously injured. How big is it? 12 feet tall, claws that can cut through metal, acid saliva that can melt bone, speed faster than your human eye can follow, strength enough to crush a warrior in its bare hands. Maya swallowed hard. Weapons? No weapons allowed. The arena provides only what nature gave you, nothing more. Captain Vexitar left the room. The door slid shut behind him with a final clicking sound. Maya was alone again. She sat down on the cold floor and put her head in her hands. 3 days to prepare for a fight against an unstoppable monster. 3 days to figure out how to save not just her own life, but the future of every human being alive. 3 days to prove that humanity deserved a place among the stars. Maya took a deep breath and stood up. She had always been a fighter. In school, she had practiced martial arts for years. In the military, she had trained with the best combat instructors Earth had to offer. She was small compared to most soldiers, but she was fast and smart. Maybe that would be enough. Maybe there was a way to win this impossible fight. She began to pace around the small room, thinking hard. The creature had said no weapons were allowed, but it had not said anything about using her brain. And Maya had always been very good at thinking her way out of trouble. The ship hummed around her as it traveled through space toward the Zephyrian homeworld, toward the arena, toward a fight. That would decide the fate of humanity itself. The Zephyrian homeworld was unlike anything Maya had ever seen. Through the small window in her transport ship, she watched as they descended through thick purple clouds. The planet's surface was covered with massive cities made of black stone and metal. Tall spires reached up toward the sky like giant needles. Everything looked sharp and dangerous. The transport landed with a heavy thud. Maya felt her stomach lurch as the artificial gravity adjusted. 2 Zephyrian guards came to escort her from the ship. They were both armed with energy weapons that glowed with blue light. Neither of them spoke to her. They walked through a long corridor made of the same black stone as the buildings outside. Strange symbols were carved into the walls. The air smelled different here. It was thinner than Earth's air and had a metallic taste that made Maya's throat feel dry. The guards led her to a large room with high ceilings. In the center of the room was a massive holographic display. It showed images of the arena where she would fight. The arena was enormous. It looked like an ancient coliseum, but much bigger. Thousands of seats surrounded a circular fighting area. The floor of the arena was covered with sand that looked almost black. "Impressive, is it not?" a voice said behind her. Maya turned around. Another Zephyrian stood in the doorway. This one was different from the others she had seen. It wore elaborate clothing with gold markings. Its scales were lighter in color, almost silver. "I am Consul Thexdan," the creature said. "I serve as our ambassador to other worlds, including your Earth." "You've been to Earth?" Maya asked. "Many times. I have met with your leaders on several occasions. They are quite worried about you." "They know I'm here?" "Of course. We sent a message to your Admiral Lucas Kane as soon as we decided to use you in the arena. He was not pleased." Consul Thexdan walked over to the holographic display. With a gesture of one of his 4 hands, the image changed. Now it showed a recording of previous arena fights. Maya watched in horror as she saw alien warriors being torn apart by an enormous black creature. "The Drakthul," Consul Thexdan explained. "Our most perfect predator. It was created by nature to kill. Every part of its body is designed for hunting and destroying prey." The recording showed the creature in detail. It was massive, with a body like a giant insect but with the intelligence of a hunting mammal. Its exoskeleton was jet black and looked harder than steel. 6 legs supported its huge body. 2 smaller arms near its head ended in claws that were longer than Maya's entire hand. Its mouth was filled with teeth that dripped with acidic saliva. "How many has it killed?" Maya asked quietly. 317 warriors, from dozens of different species. Some were much larger and stronger than humans. Some had natural weapons like claws or poison. Some had technology we allowed them to use. None of it mattered. And you expect me to fight this thing with nothing but my bare hands? That is the tradition of the arena. Pure combat. No artificial weapons. Only what your species gave you through evolution." Maya watched more recordings. She saw warriors try different strategies. Some tried to run and hide. The Drakthul was too fast. Some tried to fight it directly. They were torn apart in seconds. Some tried to climb to higher ground. The creature could climb walls and ceilings as easily as walking on flat ground. "Why are you showing me this?" Maya asked. "Because I want you to understand what will happen. Your death will be broadcast across our entire empire. Billions of Zephyrians will watch. They will see that humans are weak, that your species offers nothing of value to the galaxy. And then what happens to Earth?" Consul Thexdan smiled. It was not a pleasant expression. "Your planet will be marked as inferior. The Galactic Trade Consortium will refuse your application for membership. No alien species will share technology with you. No one will offer trade agreements. Earth will remain isolated and primitive forever." Maya felt anger building inside her chest. "You're using me to judge my entire species? One warrior can tell us everything we need to know about a people. Courage, intelligence, strength, determination. These qualities show themselves in combat. If humans cannot produce even one warrior capable of surviving in the arena, then humans are not worth our time." The holographic display changed again. Now it showed images of Earth. Maya could see her home planet from space, blue and green and beautiful. Then the image zoomed in to show human cities, people walking on streets, children playing in parks, families having dinner together. "All of these people," Consul Thexdan said, "depend on what you do in the arena. Their future among the stars rests in your hands. No pressure, Maya muttered. Actually, there is enormous pressure. Admiral Kane begged us to reconsider. He offered to send a trained soldier instead of you. He offered to pay tribute to our empire. He offered anything we wanted if we would spare your life and give humanity another chance. What did you tell him? We told him that the arena has already chosen. You are here. You will fight. And you will most likely die. That is the way of things. Maya turned away from the display. She could not bear to look at images of Earth anymore. Not when she knew she was probably going to fail everyone who lived there. There is one more thing you should know, Consul Thexdan said. The Emperor himself will be watching your fight. He has never seen a human before. He is very curious about your species. Will he stop the fight if I'm losing? The Emperor does not interfere with arena tradition. The fight continues until one contestant is dead or completely unable to continue. There is no mercy in the arena. How long do I have to prepare? The fight is tomorrow. You will be given food and water. You may rest if you can, but there is nothing else we can do for you. Consul Thexadon started to leave, then stopped. I almost forgot. Your Admiral Kane asked me to give you a message. What message? He said to tell you that Earth believes in you, that you carry the hopes of 8 billion people, and that no matter what happens, you have already made humanity proud by facing this challenge with courage. Maya felt tears starting to form in her eyes. She wiped them away quickly. Is that all? He also said to remember your training and to trust your instincts, whatever that means. After Consul Thexdan left, Maya was alone with the holographic display. She watched more recordings of arena fights. She studied the Drakthul's movements. She looked for any weakness, any pattern, anything that might help her survive. The creature was fast, but it seemed to prefer attacking from the front. It was strong, but it sometimes took a moment to recover after missing a target. It was intelligent, but it appeared to rely on instinct more than planning. Maya had been a fighter all her life. She knew that every opponent had weaknesses. Even this seemingly perfect predator had to have some flaw she could exploit. She just had to find it before it killed her. The next 18 hours would determine the future of humanity. Maya only hoped she was smart enough and strong enough to give her species the chance they deserved. Maya spent the night in a small cell beneath the arena. The walls were made of smooth stone that felt cold against her skin. A single light panel in the ceiling provided dim illumination. She could hear the sounds of the arena being prepared above her. Heavy footsteps, metal clanging against stone, voices speaking in the harsh Zephyrian language. She tried to sleep but could not. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw images of the Drakthul tearing apart alien warriors. She kept thinking about Earth, about all the people who would suffer if she failed, about how humanity's future depended on what she did in the next few hours. Around what she guessed was dawn, footsteps approached her cell. The door slid open, and a figure stepped inside. Maya sat up quickly, ready to defend herself. But this was not a Zephyrian guard. The person who entered was human. A man in his 40s with gray hair and tired eyes. He wore simple clothes that looked like they had been made from alien materials. His skin was pale, as if he had not seen sunlight in a long time. Dr. Ethan Cross, the man said, extending his hand. Xenobiologist from the research station at Alpha Centauri. Maya shook, his hand carefully. Maya Rodriguez, Earth Defense Corps. How long have you been here? 8 months. They captured my research ship when I got too close to their territory. I've been studying their creatures ever since, including the one you'll be fighting today. The Drakthul? I've watched it fight dozens of times. I've analyzed recordings. I've even been allowed to examine its waste products and shed skin. I know more about that creature than anyone else alive. Maya felt a spark of hope for the first time since her capture. Can you help me? I can tell you what I've learned. Whether it helps or not depends on how smart and fast you are. Dr. Cross sat down on the floor next to Maya. First, the basics. The Drakthul is not actually native to this planet. The Zephyrians brought it here from a world with much higher gravity. That's why it's so strong and fast. But it also means it's not perfectly adapted to this environment. What does that mean for me? It means the creature is used to fighting prey that is slower and weaker than what it would face on its home world. Earth's gravity is similar to this planet's. Your reflexes and speed are better than it expects. Maya nodded. That was something. At least. Second, Dr. Cross continued, its exoskeleton. Everyone thinks it's impenetrable, but that's not true. Like all arthropods, it has weak points at the joints, especially behind the knees of its hind legs, and where its arms connect to its torso. How hard would I have to hit those spots? Very hard. But if you can damage the joints, you can limit its mobility. And mobility is everything in a fight like this. Dr. Cross pulled out a small piece of paper covered with diagrams. I drew this from memory. It shows the creature's anatomy. Study it carefully. Maya looked at the drawings. The Drakthul's body was more complex than she had realized. Dr. Cross had marked several potential weak points. Behind the knees. Under the arms. A spot on its neck where the exoskeleton was thinner. The base of its tail. What about its senses? Maya asked. Excellent hearing. Good smell. But its eyesight is not as good as you might think. It evolved on a planet with very little sunlight. Bright lights can confuse it temporarily, and it relies heavily on pheromone tracking to follow prey. Pheromone tracking? It can smell fear, sweat, adrenaline. It uses those scents to predict where you'll move next. If you can mask your scent somehow, it will have trouble following you. Maya thought about this. What else? It's intelligent, but it's also arrogant. It has never been seriously hurt in the arena. It doesn't expect real resistance. If you can surprise it, you might gain a few seconds of advantage. A few seconds won't be enough to kill it. No, but it might be enough to hurt it. And once it's hurt, it will become more cautious, more defensive. That gives you more opportunities. Dr. Cross stood up. I have to go soon. The guards will be back to prepare you for the arena. But I brought you something. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small cloth bag. Sand from Earth. I've been saving it since I was captured. And this. He handed her a thin metallic sheet that reflected light like a mirror. What are these for? Emergency supplies from a human ship. The Zephyrians don't consider them weapons, so they're allowed in the arena. Use them wisely. Maya took the items carefully. The sand felt familiar and comforting in her hands. It reminded her of the beach near her childhood home. The metallic sheet was light but strong. It was designed to reflect heat and light in emergency situations. Thank you, she said. Don't thank me yet. Just survive. And if you can't survive, at least hurt that thing enough to show the galaxy that humans are not weak. Dr. Cross walked toward the door, then stopped. One more thing. The arena has several environmental features. Pillars, raised platforms, walls. around the edge. Use them. The Drakthul is used to fighting in open spaces. Confined areas might slow it down. After he left, Maya spent the remaining time studying the anatomy diagrams and thinking about strategy. She had always been good at fighting larger opponents. In martial arts, she had learned that speed and intelligence could overcome size and strength. But this would be the ultimate test of that philosophy. The sound of footsteps returned. This time it was Zephyrian guards. They brought her a simple meal of bread and water. The bread tasted strange, but it gave her energy. She would need every bit of strength she could get. One of the guards spoke to her through a translation device. "It is time to prepare for the arena. You will be given combat clothing. Nothing else is permitted." They led her to another room where she changed into simple pants and a sleeveless shirt. Both were made of tough fabric that would not tear easily. The guards searched her carefully but allowed her to keep the sand and the reflective sheet. As Dr. Cross had said, they did not consider these items to be weapons. Maya tucked the sand into a small pocket in her pants. She folded the metallic sheet and hid it inside her shirt. These simple items might be the difference between life and death. As they walked toward the arena entrance, Maya could hear the crowd above. Thousands of Zephyrians were cheering and shouting. The sound was deafening. She had never heard anything so loud. "The crowd wants blood," one of the guards said. "They have waited a long time to see a human fight. Do not disappoint them." Maya did not reply. She was focused now. All her fear and worry had been replaced by cold determination. She had a job to do. She had to hurt the Drakthul badly enough to prove that humans were strong. And if possible, she had to survive to tell Earth what she had learned about their place in the galaxy. The entrance to the arena was just ahead. Maya could see bright light streaming through the opening. In a few minutes, she would face the most dangerous creature in the known galaxy. She would either make history or become history. But she would not go down without a fight. The roar of the crowd hit Maya like a physical force as she stepped into the arena. 50,000 Zephyrians filled the massive coliseum, their voices creating a wall of sound that seemed to shake the ground beneath her feet. The arena was even larger than she had imagined. The fighting area was circular, about 200 feet across, covered with dark sand that had been stained by the blood of countless warriors. Maya looked up at the crowd. Every seat was filled. Zephyrians of all sizes waved their forearms in excitement. Some held banners with symbols she could not read. Others beat drums that added to the thunderous noise. In the center of the highest section, she could see a platform decorated with gold and jewels, the Emperor's box. High above the arena, massive holographic displays showed her face to the crowd. Maya realized that billions of beings across the Zephyrian Empire were watching this moment. Some were probably taking bets on how quickly she would die. Others were simply curious to see what a human looked like when facing death. The sand under her feet was hot from the bright lights that illuminated the arena. Maya could feel sweat already forming on her forehead. The air was thick and humid. It smelled like metal and old blood and something else she could not identify. Fear, maybe. Around the edge of the fighting area, several stone pillars rose up from the ground. They were about 12 feet tall and 3 feet wide. Between the pillars, raised platforms created different levels in the arena. Maya studied these features carefully. Dr. Cross had been right. She could use them to her advantage if she was smart enough. A loud horn sounded across the arena. The crowd began to quiet down. A Zephyrian in elaborate robes walked to the center of the fighting area. He carried a device that amplified his voice so everyone could hear. "Citizens of the Empire," he announced, "today we witness history. For the first time, a human will face our greatest champion in single combat." The crowd erupted in cheers again. Maya tried to block out the noise and focus on what was coming. "The human is Maya Rodriguez of Earth," the announcer continued. "She is 28 years old. She weighs 130 pounds. She has no natural weapons, no armor, no special abilities. She is exactly what her species has to offer." Maya felt a flash of anger at the dismissive tone, but she pushed the emotion away. Anger would make her careless. She needed to stay calm and focused. "The rules are simple," the announcer said. 60 minutes. No weapons except what nature provided. Victory by death or complete incapacitation. There is no mercy. There is no surrender. There is only combat. The horn sounded again. On the opposite side of the arena, a massive gate began to open. Maya could hear something moving in the darkness. Beyond. Heavy footsteps, a low growling sound that made her skin crawl. "Behold," the announcer shouted, "the Drakthul, undefeated champion of the arena, killer of 317 warriors, the perfect predator." The creature that emerged from the gate was even more terrifying in person than it had been in the recordings. The Drakthul stood 12 feet tall on 6 powerful legs. Its exoskeleton was jet black and reflected the arena lights like polished metal. The claws on its 4 arms were each as long as Maya's forearm. Its mouth opened to reveal rows of teeth that dripped with acidic saliva. But it was the creature's eyes that frightened Maya the most. They were intelligent. This was not just a mindless beast. The Drakthul was a thinking predator that had learned to enjoy killing. The creature looked around the arena slowly, as if it owned everything it could see. Then its gaze fell on Maya. It tilted its head slightly, studying her. Maya had the uncomfortable feeling that it was trying to decide which part of her to tear off first. The crowd was going wild now. They chanted something in their language that sounded like death, death, death. The Emperor himself stood up in his box to get a better view. Maya had never felt so alone in her entire life. The announcer raised his arms for silence. "Let the combat begin!" The horn sounded for the 3rd time. The Drakthul immediately dropped into a hunting crouch. Maya could see its muscles tense under the dark exoskeleton. Every instinct told her to run, but there was nowhere to go. The arena walls were too high to climb. The gates were sealed, shut. There was only her and the monster and the burning sand between them. For a moment, neither of them moved. Maya tried to remember everything Dr. Cross had told her. The weak points behind the knees. The creature's poor eyesight in bright light. Its reliance on pheromone tracking. She touched the pocket where she had hidden the sand and felt the reflective sheet pressed against her ribs. The Drakthul took a step forward, then another. It was not rushing to attack. It was being careful. Maybe it was curious about this strange new prey. Maybe it wanted to understand what a human could do before it killed her. Maya began to move sideways, keeping her distance from the creature. She wanted to get closer to one of the stone pillars. If she could put something solid between herself and those claws, she might survive a few seconds longer. The creature matched her movement, always keeping itself between Maya and the arena walls. It was smart enough to cut off her escape routes. Its head swayed back and forth as it tracked her movement. Maya could see its nostrils flaring as it analyzed her scent. Without warning, the Drakthul charged. Maya had been expecting this moment, but the creature's speed still shocked her. It crossed 30 feet in less than 2 seconds. Its claws swept through the air where Maya had been standing a fraction of a second before. Maya rolled to the side and came up running. The crowd gasped as the human actually managed to avoid the first attack. This never happened. Most warriors were torn apart within seconds of the charge. The Drakthul spun around with surprising grace for such a large creature. It seemed more interested now. This prey was faster than expected. This might actually be fun. Maya reached the nearest pillar and put it between herself and the creature. The Drakthul circled around the pillar, but Maya kept moving to stay out of reach. She was buying time, trying to learn more about how the creature moved. The monster was fast, but it was also heavy. When it changed direction quickly, it took a moment to regain its balance, and Dr. Cross had been right about its eyesight. When Maya moved through the bright spotlights, the creature seemed to lose track of her for a split second. The Drakthul grew tired of the chase. It reared up on its hind legs and brought its front claws down on the stone pillar. The impact sent chunks of rock flying through the air. One piece hit Maya in the shoulder, spinning her around. The creature pressed its advantage, lunging around the damaged pillar. Maya barely escaped, diving under its reaching claws. She could feel the wind from its attack against her back. The crowd was on its feet now. This human was lasting longer than anyone had expected. Some Zephyrians were shouting encouragement. Others were angry that their champion had not killed her yet. Maya knew she could not keep running forever. The arena was large, but not large enough to hide from the Drakthul indefinitely, and she was already getting tired. The creature showed no signs of slowing down. It was time to stop running and start fighting back. Maya's lungs burned as she sprinted across the arena sand. The Drakthul was right behind her, its 6 legs making a sound like thunder as it pursued her. She could hear its breathing, harsh and eager. The creature was enjoying the chase. But Maya was not just running randomly. She had been studying the arena layout while dodging the monster's attacks. There was a pattern to the stone pillars and raised platforms. If she could reach the right position, she might have a chance to put her plan into action. The crowd was screaming now. Some Zephyrians were chanting for blood. Others seemed genuinely surprised that the human had lasted this long. Maya could see their faces in the lower seats. Many looked confused. This was not how arena fights usually went. Maya reached the cluster of pillars near the center of the arena. These were arranged in a rough circle, creating a maze of stone barriers. She dove between 2 pillars just as the Drakthul's claws raked the air where her head had been. The creature tried to follow her between the pillars, but its bulk made it awkward. Maya was small enough to slip through gaps that slowed the monster down. She used this advantage to put some distance between them. The Drakthul grew frustrated. It climbed up on top of one of the pillars, using its claws to grip the stone. From this higher position, it could see where Maya was hiding. It let out a roar that echoed across the arena. Maya looked up at the creature perched above her. This was the moment she had been waiting for. The Drakthul was backlit by the bright arena lights. Its position made it a perfect target for what she had planned. Moving quickly, Maya pulled the cloth bag from her pocket. The sand from Earth felt warm in her palm. She had to time this perfectly. The creature was preparing to jump down on top of her. Its muscles were tensed. Its attention was focused entirely on its prey below. The Drakthul leaped from the pillar with its claws extended. Maya waited until the last possible second, then threw the sand directly into the creature's eyes. At the same moment, she pulled out the reflective sheet and angled it to catch the bright arena lights. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The sand stuck to the creature's eyes, mixing with the natural moisture there to create a gritty paste. The reflected light from the metallic sheet created a brilliant flash that overloaded its sensitive vision. The Drakthul crashed into the sand where Maya had been standing, but she was no longer there. Half-blinded and confused, it thrashed around wildly, trying to clear its eyes with its smaller front arms. Maya had rolled away from the impact and come up in a fighting stance. For the first time since entering the arena, she was not running. The creature's back was turned to her. Its rear legs were spread wide for balance as it tried to regain its sight. This was her chance. Maya had spent years studying martial arts. She knew how to generate maximum force with minimal body weight. She sprinted toward the creature's left rear leg, focusing all her energy on the joint Dr. Cross had identified as a weak point. She jumped and drove her elbow into the soft spot behind the Drakthul's knee with every ounce of strength she possessed. The impact sent a shock of pain up her arm, but she felt something give way under the creature's exoskeleton. The Drakthul shrieked in surprise and pain. It spun around to face this impossible sensation. Something had actually hurt it. In all its years of arena combat, nothing had ever caused real damage to its body. Maya had already moved away, but not far enough. One of the creature's wild swings caught her across the ribs, sending her flying through the air. She hit the sand hard and rolled, gasping for breath. But when she looked up, she saw something that made her heart race with hope. The Drakthul was favoring its left rear leg. It was not putting full weight on it anymore. She had actually damaged the joint. The crowd had gone completely silent. No one could believe what they had just seen. The human had hurt their champion. The Drakthul was limping. In the Emperor's box, several Zephyrian officials were talking rapidly among themselves. This was not supposed to happen. The arena fights were meant to demonstrate the superiority of their champion. Humans were supposed to be weak and helpless. The Drakthul's vision was starting to clear, but it was no longer the same confident predator that had entered the arena. It approached Maya more cautiously now. Its damaged leg made it slightly slower. And for the first time in its life, it had learned that prey could fight back effectively. Maya struggled to her feet. Her ribs ached where the creature had struck her, but nothing seemed broken. She could still move and fight. The reflective sheet had been torn during her flight through the air, but it was still functional. The creature circled her slowly, studying this strange prey that had done the impossible. Maya could see intelligence in its eyes. It was trying to understand how she had hurt it. It would not fall for the same trick twice. But Maya was not planning to use the same trick twice. She had other ideas. The Drakthul tested its weight on the injured leg. The joint was damaged but still functional. It could still hunt. It could still kill. But now it would be more careful. Maya began moving toward another set of pillars. The creature followed, but its gait was uneven now. The damaged leg threw off its natural rhythm. Maya could use this. She reached into her shirt and felt for the reflective sheet. It was torn, but still large enough for what she needed. The arena lights were positioned all around the fighting area. If she could get the right angle, she might be able to blind the creature again. The Drakthul charged, but this time its approach was more controlled. It did not want to risk another injury. Maya waited until it was almost upon her, then dove to the side while angling the reflective sheet toward a cluster of spotlights. The reflected light hit the creature's eyes again, but this time it was ready. It closed its eyes and continued. Its attack based on scent and hearing alone. Its claws missed Maya by inches. But Maya had expected this. While the creature was attacking blind, she struck at its injured leg again. This time she used her knee, driving it into the same weak point she had damaged before. The Drakthul's leg buckled, the joint gave way completely, and the creature crashed to the sand. For a moment it was vulnerable and off balance. Maya did not waste the opportunity. She jumped onto the creature's back and struck at the base of its neck, where Dr. Cross had said the exoskeleton was thinner. Her fists hammered against the hard surface, looking for any weakness. The Drakthul bucked like an angry horse, trying to throw her off. Maya held on desperately, continuing to strike at the creature's neck and the joints where its arms connected to its body. Finally, the creature managed to reach back with one of its front arms and swipe at Maya. She had to jump clear or risk being torn in half. She landed hard on the sand and rolled away as quickly as she could. The Drakthul struggled to get back on its feet. Its left rear leg was now completely useless. It could only support its weight on 5 legs instead of 6. The creature was still dangerous, but it was no longer the perfect predator it had been when the fight began. Maya stood up slowly, watching the creature carefully. She had drawn first blood. She had proven that the Drakthul could be hurt. But the fight was far from over. The creature's eyes were filled with rage now. It had been humiliated in front of billions of viewers. It would not make any more mistakes. The next part of the fight would be even more dangerous than what had come before. The injured Drakthul was a different creature now. Gone was the casual confidence of a predator that had never known defeat. In its place was something far more dangerous, a wounded animal fighting for its life and reputation. Maya could see the change in its posture. The creature moved more carefully now, testing each step before putting its full weight down. Its damaged rear leg dragged slightly in the sand, leaving a distinctive track, but its eyes burned with fury that made Maya's blood run cold. The crowd had found its voice again. Thousands of Zephyrians were shouting, but now they were divided. Some called for their champion to destroy the human who had dared to hurt it. Others seemed genuinely excited by this unexpected turn of events. A few were even cheering for Maya, impressed by her courage and skill. Maya wiped sweat and sand from her face. Her ribs ached from the earlier blow, and her hands were bleeding from striking the creature's armored hide. But she felt more alive than she ever had before. She was actually winning this impossible fight. The Drakthul began stalking her again, but its approach was completely different now. Instead of charging recklessly, it moved with the patience of an experienced hunter. It used the stone pillars for cover, trying to get close enough for a killing strike without exposing itself to another counterattack. Maya realized she needed to change tactics too. Her surprise attacks had worked because the creature was overconfident. Now it would be ready for her tricks. She needed to find new ways to exploit its injured leg. She began moving toward the raised platforms that dotted the arena floor. These stone structures were about 6 feet high and could be climbed using handholds carved into their sides. If she could get above the creature, she might be able to attack from an unexpected angle. The Drakthul sensed her plan and moved to cut off her route to the platforms. But its damaged leg made it slower than before. Maya was able to reach the base of the nearest platform and start climbing. The creature roared in frustration and charged at the platform. Maya was only halfway up when the Drakthul's claws scraped against the stone where her feet had been seconds before. She scrambled up to the top of the platform just in time. From her new position, Maya could see the entire arena. The Emperor was leaning forward in his box, clearly fascinated by what he was witnessing. In the crowd, many Zephyrians were pointing at the scoreboard displays. Maya realized they were showing timer clocks. The fight had been going on for 8 minutes already. Most arena battles ended in less than 2 minutes. The Drakthul could not climb as easily as before with its injured leg. It circled the platform, looking for a way to reach its prey. Maya used this time to study the creature more carefully. She noticed that it was breathing harder now. The injury was affecting more than just its mobility. It was also causing the creature to work harder to maintain its balance, which was tiring it out. Maya picked up a loose piece of stone from the platform's surface. She waited until the creature was directly below her, then threw the rock at its head. The Drakthul dodged easily, but the attack forced it to move to one side. Maya immediately jumped down on the creature's opposite side, landing near its damaged leg. Before the Drakthul could turn around, Maya delivered a series of quick strikes to the injured joint. Each blow sent shock waves of pain through the creature's body. It spun to face her, but the movement put too much stress on the damaged leg. The creature stumbled, giving Maya a chance to attack its other rear leg. She drove her knee into the weak spot behind the creature's right rear knee. This joint was not as damaged as the left one, but the impact still caused the Drakthul to stagger. Now both of its rear legs were compromised. The creature's fury reached a new level. It had never experienced anything like this systematic dismantling of its physical capabilities. It lashed out wildly with all 4 arms, trying to catch Maya in a devastating embrace. Maya ducked under the flailing claws and rolled between the creature's front legs. She came up behind it and jumped onto its back again. This time, instead of striking at its neck, she wrapped her arms around the base of its tail and held on tight. The Drakthul tried to reach back and grab her, but its anatomy made it difficult to attack something directly behind it. It began spinning and bucking, trying to throw her off. But Maya had ridden bulls in her youth, and she knew how to stay on a moving animal. While the creature exhausted itself trying to dislodge her, Maya used her position to study its back more carefully. She could see where the segments of its exoskeleton joined together. Between the plates, there were thin lines of softer tissue that allowed the creature to move and bend. Maya began striking at these vulnerable spots with her elbow, putting all her weight behind each blow. The Drakthul's spinning became more frantic as she found sensitive areas that had never been attacked before. Finally, the creature did something Maya had not expected. It deliberately fell backward, trying to crush her under its massive weight. Maya barely managed to roll clear before several hundred pounds of armored predator slammed into the sand where she had been. The impact stunned the Drakthul temporarily. Maya used the opportunity to attack its front legs, which were now more accessible. She struck at the joints where the arms connected to the torso, remembering Dr. Cross's anatomical diagrams. The creature rolled over and got back to its feet, but now it was moving even more slowly. 2 of its 6 legs were seriously damaged. Several other joints had been weakened by Maya's relentless attacks. For the first time, the Drakthul looked genuinely worried. Maya backed away to assess the situation. She was tired and breathing hard, but she was still mobile and thinking clearly. The creature, on the other hand, was clearly struggling. Its perfect killing machine had been reduced to a wounded animal that could barely stand upright. The crowd was going absolutely wild. Nothing like this had ever happened in the arena before. Many Zephyrians were on their feet, shouting and gesturing wildly. In the Emperor's box, Several officials were arguing among themselves. Maya wondered if they were considering stopping the fight. But the fight was not over yet. The Drakthul was wounded but still deadly, and Maya knew that wounded animals were often at their most dangerous. The creature seemed to realize that its usual tactics were not working. Instead of trying to chase Maya around the arena, it positioned itself near the center of the fighting area and waited. It was conserving its energy and forcing Maya to come to it. Maya understood the strategy. The creature was hoping she would make a mistake, get overconfident, and come within range of those deadly claws. She needed to find a way to finish the fight without giving the Drakthul a chance to kill her with a lucky strike. She looked around the arena, searching for anything she could use to her advantage. The stone pillars, the raised platforms, the arena walls themselves. There had to be some way to end this fight decisively. Then she saw it. One of the stone pillars near the arena wall had been damaged earlier when the Drakthul had struck it. Large cracks ran up its side. If Maya could somehow cause that pillar to fall, it might create the opening she needed. But getting the creature in the right position would require perfect timing and a great deal of luck. Maya would have to risk everything on one final gambit. Maya studied the damaged pillar near the arena wall. The cracks ran deep into the stone, and she could see that it was barely standing. If she could somehow lure the Drakthul to that exact spot and bring the pillar down on top of it, she might be able to end this fight. But first, she needed to weaken the creature even more. Its mobility was already compromised, but it was still strong enough to kill her if she made a mistake. Maya began moving in a wide circle around the Drakthul. The creature turned to follow her movement, but its damaged legs made the rotation awkward and painful. She was forcing it to work harder just to keep track of her. As she moved, Maya picked up pieces of broken stone from the arena floor. The earlier impacts had scattered chunks of rock throughout the fighting area. She began throwing these at the creature, not to cause damage, but to annoy and distract it. The Drakthul snapped at the flying stones with its massive jaws. Its acidic saliva hissed as it hit the rocks, dissolving them partially. But the constant bombardment was clearly frustrating the creature. It wanted to charge at Maya, but its injured legs would not allow for the swift pursuit it was used to. Maya noticed that the creature was favoring its front left arm as well now. Her attacks on the joints had done more damage than she had realized. The Drakthul was slowly breaking down under the accumulated injuries. She moved closer to the damaged pillar, still throwing stones to keep the creature's attention. The Drakthul followed her, moving as quickly as its wounds would allow. Maya could see the determination in its eyes. It was not going to give up easily. When Maya was about 20 feet from the cracked pillar, she stopped running and turned, to face the creature directly. This was the most dangerous part of her plan. She needed to make the Drakthul angry enough to charge at her with everything it had left. "Come on," she called out, knowing the creature could not understand her words, but hoping it would sense the challenge in her voice. "Is that all you've got?" The Drakthul's eyes blazed with fury. This tiny human had humiliated it in front of the entire empire. It had to kill her, even if it cost everything. The creature gathered itself for one final devastating charge. Maya could see its muscles tensing despite the injuries. It was putting everything into this last attack. The Drakthul launched itself forward with surprising speed. Its damaged legs slowed it down, but it was still fast enough to be deadly. Maya waited until the very last second, then dove to the side. The creature's momentum carried it directly into the cracked pillar. The impact was tremendous. The pillar shuddered and began to topple, but it was falling too slowly. Maya realized that her plan was not going to work as she had hoped, but the collision had done something else. The Drakthul was stunned and off balance, tangled up with the falling stones. Maya saw her chance and took it. She ran directly at the creature and jumped onto its back once more. But this time, instead of trying to strike at its armor, she wrapped her arms around its neck and locked her legs around its torso. She was going to attempt something she had learned in martial arts training, a sleeper hold adapted for alien anatomy. The Drakthul thrashed wildly, trying to dislodge her. Its claws scraped against its own back as it tried to reach her, but Maya held on with desperate strength. She pressed her forearm against the creature's throat, trying to find the major blood vessels that would carry oxygen to its brain. Dr. Cross had mentioned that the creature's circulatory system was similar to Earth arthropods. If Maya could cut off the flow of hemolymph to its brain, she might be able to make it lose consciousness. The Drakthul spun around and around, its movements becoming more frantic as Maya's hold tightened. The creature could not breathe properly, with her arm across its throat. It began to make choking sounds that echoed across the arena. The crowd was absolutely silent now. No one had ever seen anything like this. The human was actually choking their champion. It seemed impossible, but it was happening right before their eyes. Maya could feel the creature's struggles growing weaker. Its movements were becoming less coordinated. The lack of oxygen was affecting its ability to think and move. But she was getting tired, too. Her grip was starting to slip. The Drakthul made one last, desperate attempt to throw her off. It reared up on its hind legs and fell backward, trying to crush her against the arena floor. Maya held on as they hit the sand hard. The impact drove the air from her lungs, but she did not let go. The creature tried to roll over and pin her underneath its weight. Maya shifted her position and tightened her hold even more. She could feel the Drakthul's pulse getting weaker and more irregular. Then, suddenly, the creature stopped moving. The Drakthul's body went limp. Its eyes rolled back in its head. The mighty predator that had killed hundreds of warriors was unconscious. Maya held on for a few more seconds to make sure it was not faking. When she was certain the creature was truly out, she released her hold and rolled away from its body. She stood up slowly, hardly believing what had just happened. The Drakthul lay motionless in the sand, its chest rising and falling with shallow breaths. It was alive, but completely helpless. The arena was absolutely silent. 50,000 Zephyrians stared in shock at the impossible scene before them. Their unbeatable champion had been defeated by a small human female, and she had done it in just 14 minutes and 37 seconds. Maya looked up at the Emperor's box. The ruler of the Zephyrian Empire was standing with his mouth open, clearly unable to process what he had witnessed. His advisors were talking rapidly among themselves, gesturing wildly. The official timekeeper announced the result in a stunned voice that carried across the arena through the amplification system. The human Maya Rodriguez has defeated the Drakthul. Time elapsed, 14 minutes, 37 seconds. The champion is unconscious and unable to continue. The crowd erupted in chaos. Some Zephyrians cheered wildly, caught up in the excitement of witnessing history. Others sat in stunned silence, unable to accept that their perfect predator had been beaten. A few actually began to leave, too shocked to continue watching. Maya walked over to where the Drakthul lay unconscious. The creature was breathing, steadily, but would probably sleep for hours. She had not killed it, but she had proven her point. Humans were not weak. They were not easy prey. They deserved respect. She looked up at the holographic displays that showed her face to billions of viewers across the Zephyrian Empire. Maya raised her hand and waved. She wanted everyone watching to see that she was not just alive, but victorious. The implications of what had just happened would ripple across the galaxy. The Zephyrians would have to reconsider their opinion of humanity. Other alien species would take notice of what a single human could accomplish. Earth's application to join. The Galactic Trade Consortium would no longer be dismissed. Maya had come to this arena as a prisoner facing certain death. She was leaving as the warrior who had changed humanity's destiny forever. Guards began moving toward the arena floor, but they approached carefully. They were not sure what to do with a human who had just accomplished the impossible. Maya stood calmly and waited for them to reach her. She had done what she came to do. Now she wanted to go home and tell Earth about their new place among the stars. The Emperor's throne room was unlike anything Maya had ever seen. The walls were made of black stone that seemed to absorb light, decorated with gold symbols that told the history of Zephyrian conquests. Massive columns supported a ceiling so high it disappeared into shadows. In the center of the room, Emperor Capcut sat on a throne carved from a single piece of emerald crystal. Maya stood before the Emperor, flanked by 6 guards who treated her with a respect that had not existed before her victory in the arena. She was no longer a prisoner. She was something much more complicated, a being who had changed the fundamental assumptions of an entire civilization. Emperor Capcut was larger than the other Zephyrians Maya had met. His 4 arms were decorated with golden bands that indicated his rank. His scales had a silver tint that marked him as royalty. But it was his eyes that impressed Maya the most. They held an intelligence and curiosity that reminded her that she was dealing with the ruler of an interstellar empire. "Maya Rodriguez of Earth," the Emperor said, his voice echoing in the vast chamber. "You have done something remarkable today." "I did what I had to do, Your Majesty," Maya replied. "You defeated our greatest champion in single combat. You accomplished what warriors from dozens of species could not. And you did it using nothing but your natural abilities and intelligence." The Emperor stood up from his throne and walked down the steps to stand closer to Maya. "Tell me, human, how did you know? To attack the Drakthul's joints? A friend told me where it was vulnerable. Dr. Ethan Cross, the human scientist you captured. He studied your champion and shared what he learned." "Ah, yes, the xenobiologist. He has been quite useful to our researchers. But knowing the weakness and exploiting it are very different things. You showed remarkable courage and skill. I showed what any human would show when fighting for their people's future." Emperor Capcut nodded slowly. "Yes, that is what interests me most. You fought not just for your own life, but for your entire species. This suggests that humans have a strong sense of loyalty and sacrifice. These are valuable qualities." The Emperor returned to his throne and gestured for Maya to come closer. "I have a proposition for you, Maya Rodriguez. Join my empire. Become a general in my armies. I will give you command of your own ship and crew. You will have wealth and power beyond anything your species has ever known." Maya considered the offer carefully. She could see why the Emperor would want her. A human who could defeat the Drakthul would be valuable as both a warrior and a symbol. But she also knew that accepting would mean abandoning Earth forever. "I am honored by your offer, Your Majesty, but I must decline. My place is with my own people. Even though they sent you on the mission that led to your capture, they did not send me to be captured. That was an accident. And even if it was, not. Earth is my home. I will not abandon it." The Emperor smiled, showing teeth that were sharp but smaller than the Drakthul's. "I thought you would say that." It is another mark in favor of your species. Loyalty to one's home is a sign of strength, not weakness. Emperor Kekthul stood up again and walked to a large window that looked out over his capital city. Your victory, today, has created a problem for my empire. For generations, we have used the arena to demonstrate our superiority over other species. The Drakthul's dominance was proof that Zephyrians were the natural rulers of this part of the galaxy. And now we must reconsider many of our assumptions. If humans can produce warriors capable of defeating our greatest champion, then humans are not the weak species we believed them to be. This changes everything. The Emperor turned back to Maya. I am prepared to offer your species something unprecedented. Full membership in the Galactic Trade Consortium, access to our technology and markets, a seat on the ruling council of civilized worlds. Maya felt her heart racing. This was more than Earth had ever dared to hope for. What do you want in return? Nothing that you have not already given us. You have shown us that humans are worthy of respect. That is payment enough. Just like that, after one fight in an arena, Maya Rodriguez, you must understand something about galactic politics. Reputation is everything. The strong are courted and feared. The weak are exploited or ignored. Today, you moved humanity from the second category to the first. A Zephyrian. Aide approached the throne and whispered something to the Emperor. Kekthul nodded and turned back to Maya. It seems word of your victory is spreading faster than we anticipated. In the past hour, I have received communication requests from the Andromedan Council, the Centauri Trade Federation, and the Vegan Diplomatic Corps. They all want to establish formal relations with Earth immediately. They do? Species throughout the galaxy are wondering what other surprises humanity might have in store. They want to be on friendly terms with your people before they find out the hard way. The Emperor walked over to a communications panel and activated it. I am sending a message to your Admiral Lucas Kane right now. I will inform him that you are safe and will be returned to Earth with full honors. I will also transmit our formal offer of membership in the Galactic Trade Consortium. Maya watched as the Emperor recorded his message. She could hardly believe this was really happening. A few hours ago, she had been preparing to die in an alien arena. Now she was helping to secure humanity's future among the stars. There is one more thing, the Emperor said after finishing his recording. Dr. Cross will be released and allowed to return to Earth with you. Consider it a gesture of good faith. Thank you, Your Majesty. That means more to me than you know. I suspect it means a great deal to him as well. He has been quite worried about you. A short time later, Maya was escorted to a luxurious transport ship that would take her back to Earth. Dr. Cross was waiting for her in the passenger compartment, grinning widely. I told you to survive, he said as she sat down beside him. I did not dare hope you would actually win. Neither did I, honestly. But once I got started, I was too stubborn to quit. The whole galaxy is talking about what you did. The communication networks are flooded with discussions about humanity. Every species wants to know more about us. Maya looked out the window as the transport ship lifted off from the Zephyrian homeworld. Below them, the dark cities were already returning to their normal routines. But she knew that nothing would ever be quite the same. The Drakthul's defeat had changed the balance of power in this part of the galaxy. What do you think will happen when we get home? Maya asked. I think Earth is about to become a very busy place. We are going to have visitors from across the galaxy. Scientists, diplomats, traders, maybe even tourists. Humanity is no longer alone in the universe. The transport ship entered hyperspace and the stars outside became streaks of light. Maya settled back in her seat and closed her eyes. She was exhausted from the fight and everything that had happened afterward, but she was also excited about the future. She had gone to the arena as Lieutenant Maya Rodriguez, a simple scout pilot, who had been in the wrong place at the wrong time. She was returning to Earth as the woman who had opened the galaxy to humanity, not through diplomacy or technology, but through courage and determination and an absolute refusal to give up. The trip home would take several days. Maya planned to spend that time resting and thinking about what she would say when she faced the media and the politicians and all the people who would want to know how she had accomplished the impossible. But for now, she was content to sleep and dream of a future where Earth's children would walk among the stars as equals, no longer alone in the vast darkness of space. She had given them that future with her own 2 hands, and it was more than worth every moment of pain and fear. She had endured to win it.